like to repeat the question for the audience?
The question is, are there any city services that you believe could be outsourced to private entities to achieve better results or cost savings?
Without going through the list of current contracts that are outsourced, I will tell you what criteria I used when determining as a superintendent whether or not I'd be outsourcing any particular service. First of all, I looked at cost savings, of course. The second, that was alluded to by Mrs. Williams and Mr. Alexander, is quality control and oversight. If it costs more man hours to ensure that those services or that product is of high quality than we're actually paying, then it no longer is cost effective. So you need to look at cost and efficacy as well as quality of the services being outsourced. And the third component is to make sure that it does not impact or fall under the purview of existing labor contracts. So a perfect example of what we have that has been mentioned in terms of outsourcing is our sheriff's department and our trash industry and pickup. Those are all well done, cost effective, and with high quality, and are under or within the scope of city rights and management.
Mr. Reed, yes.
Folks, this is a subject that I have actually taught to Middle Eastern professors and also those in Latin America. The subject is GIS, Geographic Information Systems. We spend over $500 million a year that could be outsourced at a fraction of its cost to private industry. We could reduce our financial burden of payroll, taxes, overtime, and pensions. We would always use a minimal staff to handle changes and modifications on GIS. Currently performed by many cities and public entities. I mentioned to you the city of Santa Monica has outsourced GIS. Inland Empire Utility Agency has also done the same thing, as well as the Orange County Sanitation District. These folks all estimated and made their estimates, and they turned it over to private industry. Numerous small engineering firms can handle the Rancho Cucamonga's GIS needs and requirements without any problem. Example, GIS training over the last couple months measured $24,000 to send the people to a training program that wasn't necessary. They put them up in the hotel in San Bernardino for that $24,000. That's wasteful expenditures of money. Somebody's not looking after the house, And in other words, if we continue spending like this, we're going to put ourselves in a bankruptcy situation. So here's GIS that we can outsource at a fraction of the cost. Next, I would take on our fire departments, or our fire department and the unions. We come to the point where we have to deal with this on a very strong basis. We have to sit up and pay attention, make some hard decisions. I would transfer the fire departments over to the county of San Bernardino. This would eliminate the payroll, taxes, insurance, pension programs, and keep us from going into bankruptcy in the near future. Because this is what's happening. This overtime that we're spending is a game that's being played out, and the city is being built. We got to stop it. We got to initiate new policies and procedures. If we're going to retain the fire departments, or we ship off to the county of San Bernardino, where they can still do the same job, and they can't say they won't do the job because they know it's got to be done here in the city. They've got their plans and their policies as far as services for the city and emergency services. So that's what I would do with them. Last, I would take on the cable TV industry services, conduct a review of current supplier services and rates, issue RFPs based upon clear and understandable bid specifications, refuge collections for the year 2000 and 2015, issue clear and defined bid specifications with special terms and conditions. This thing with Bertec is nothing but sweetheart contract, folks. Review current insurance brokerage rates and issue RFP for services as well. Thank you.
Mr. Jimenez.
So Mr. Belton already went through the list of the stuff we outsource. But just so you guys know my philosophy behind outsourcing, I'm not a big believer of it. The whole idea of taking a service that is provided by a dedicated city employee or employees and giving it to a for-profit entity who's city, who's really their business, so their bottom line is to make money, so they're going to find ways to cut the cost. So what they're going to end up doing is reducing service and reducing wages for the workers that work for that entity. So at the end, all of us lose, because if we outsource certain services, we're not going to get the same quality of services, and that company is going to find ways to pay the workers less, which means the workers in that community are going to have less disposable income to invest in our community and provide for their families. That's it.
Mr. Hanlon.
Outsourcing of the service workers was brought up more than once. And they went union because they're terrified of the management stepping out. And they were terrified of losing their jobs, and some of them have been working here for 20, 30 years. I don't see that as a positive thing. We're going through some tough times. Tough times call for tough decisions, not waste. I believe what Mr. Menes said was true. We are currently drowning in top management salaries, retirement pay, and the cycle shows no end. It's not going to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is when the newspapers tell us we're like Bell, California. Tough decision is to contract out the city manager, the assistant city manager, and the 2 deputy city managers to start. Cut their salary by 2/3, all benefits, everything, they get 2/3, and we'll have 1,000 people apply for those jobs. Next, we go toward the upper management, who, by the way, are averaging $204,000 a year that we're paying out. How much of you, and by the way, that adds up to more than 90% salary plus benefits. It's ridiculous. This alone would have a huge effect on our payroll. It would have a huge effect on our benefits package, our liabilities. It would have a tremendous effect on morale, because these people, and believe me, I've been to companies where they outsource, real companies, not a city. And let me tell you, these people come in to work, to help show profit, and to earn the money. Thank you.
The next question will begin with Dr. Kennedy. Dr. Kennedy, what changes to the city municipal code would you pursue and why?
Codes and policies are meant to be fluid and living documents that change according to the demographics and the needs of an organization. And so I would begin by looking at those that address our businesses and whether or not they are business-centered, business-friendly, and encourage new businesses and prevent barriers for opening or fees that would be barriers to any new businesses coming into our city. So I would look at those and I would seek the input from the chamber as well as businesses and be responsive to that input and that feedback and make changes accordingly.